Hey guys, so this is just this quick screencast as an introduction to the research paper that we're going to be working on over the course of the next couple of weeks. And before I even show you the assignment sheet, the first thing I want to say is we're going to work through this step by step. We're going to move from piece to piece to piece to piece, and it's going to be really manageable for us. I know we're in a really crazy situation right now. You're learning from home. And I know the research paper is probably kind of scary because it's generally not something students are really comfortable with. It's not something they typically enjoy doing. And I've made this research paper to kind of combat a lot of that by allowing you to pick your subject so that you're working with something you actually care about. And I'm trying to make this easy on you by breaking it into steps, by giving you feedback that you can then apply going forward. Each step is going to have a screencast. It's going to have a set of sort of printed instructions digitally. It'll have the assignment. It'll have the due dates. It's all going to be put together really organized. My students typically do really well on the research paper. I like teaching research papers. And I think my students tend to find them to be not as terrible as they expected. However, you know, we're in a really different situation now. And one of the things is that research papers are, you know, they sort of pile on top of each other. The one step leads into the next one. And if you don't do this one, you can't do this one. It's like foundational and you're just building and building and building. So one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about with you guys doing this in this scenario is that keeping up with the assignments and, you know, doing one step so you can get feedback on it so you can move on to the next is going to be so important. And so the one thing I'm going to be doing during this time, which you may appreciate, you may not, is I'm going to be very much in touch with your parents via email during this process. A good handful of you guys have been doing an amazing job keeping up with your English work. Another good handful have been not turning in hardly anything, and most people are kind of somewhere in between. And you know, I've not been really picky about due dates, but in the research process, they become so much more important. And sticking to the schedule in order to make it, you know, this project we've got like 5 weeks, and so if we do it over the course of 5 weeks, it's going to be really manageable. But if you get behind and you're trying to do all 7 steps of the research paper in like the 3 days before the end of the semester, one, it's going to be miserable, and number 2, you're not going to do a very good job on it. So my goal in doing this research paper, you know, I've tweaked some things about it. I've scaled a couple things back. I'm going to have different grading expectations than I normally would in a way to make it easier for you. But I can't stress enough how important it's going to be for you to, you know, try to keep up with your English work during this unit. All right, so I'm going to screen share here, and you'll be able to see the assignment sheet. Now you have a copy of this posted on Schoology on the slideshow. I'm creating, and it's not done yet, but I'm basically creating a big sort of Google Slides, which is going to have a separate slide for each step of the paper. And all the documents, links, screencasts, everything that you're going to need for this project are on this slideshow. So this is sort of, it's not even really the first step, but it's sort of what you'll be doing. So you've got a link to the assignment sheet. When you pull that up, that's what I'm going to show you right here now. So we base our CP research paper on inquiry, which means investigation, looking into something, asking questions, some things we want to know. We're going to identify topics related to technology that you want to learn more about. And I've already asked you to start on this. You're going to find a question, find sources that address it, and you're going to write a research paper that reports on what you learned. That's it. Okay. This assignment is broken down into 2 parts: the process, which is sort of all the little assignments that lead up to the final thing, and then the final paper. I've scaled this back. Usually each part of this, the process and the paper, are worth 100 points, but because there's other things we have to skip due to our scenario, I didn't want it to be weighted that heavily. So I scaled back the amount of points that this whole thing is worth, but it's still a large portion of your second marking period grade. Each part of this process and the final paper, they're going to be submitted to Schoology in the way that you're used to. The final draft we'll upload to turnitin.com, but we'll talk about that later. English department guidelines for submission of assignments, the plagiarism policy, the academic honesty policy, all that kind of thing, that all does apply here. So the basics of this paper is it's going to be 2 to 3 pages, which means you have to fill at least 2 pages all the way to the bottom. You're going to find 3 sources that you're going to use in your research paper for reliable information, which we'll talk about soon. And you're going to use MLA format, including works cited pages, which we're going to teach you all of this as we go through this. So the different steps of the process, first thing you're going to do is you're going to kind of write up a proposal. I've asked you to start thinking about your topic, but you're going to sort of submit something more formally. You're going to draft your works cited page. You're going to take notes from those sources. You're going to create an outline, which is actually like a graphic organizer, not really an outline, that's going to plan your paper, and you're going to draft it. Those are the steps of the process, and they total 50 points. On page 2 here, this is sort of the final paper, and this is sort of what we're looking for. And this is the same thing that we look for in any research English paper, you know, focus, content, your development, you have your quotations, that kind of thing. Is it organized with body paragraphs, topic sentences, documentation? This is something specific to research papers in terms of the works cited page and the parenthetical citations and page formatting and that kind of thing. And then, of course, style, mechanics, spelling, grammar, that kind of thing. And that's also worth 50 points. And that is your intro to the assignment sheet. The step 1 is going to be your question proposal, and there will be a separate link to a separate screencast and documents and instructions and everything for that. Thank you very much.